Drop a $ in the comments if you've ever been thankful for someone who gave you grace when you didn't deserve it. Jesus, he's telling a parable, a story to prove a point. In Matthew chapter 18, we find out that Jesus is telling us about forgiveness in a ridiculous way on purpose. A servant owed a king 10,000 talents. Now that doesn't mean that much because we don't pay for our groceries or our gas in talents or even denarii, which was smaller. So let me put it this way. 1 talent was worth 6,000 days of labor. That man owed 10,000 talents. That means he owed about 60 million days of work to pay off his debt. If he worked 6 days a week, it would have taken him around 192,000 years to repay it. So Jesus is not describing a guy who needed a better budget or even to get on the Dave Ramsey envelope system. No, Jesus was saying this man, he was cooked. It was done. His debt was impossible. And yet the king forgave him. Then I want to share this with you, that the same forgiven servant walked out from the king and found another man who owed him 100 denarii. That's much smaller. It was about 100 days' wages of work. Now that's not nothing. That is real money, and that's about 3 or 4 months of work. So it was a big deal. But Jesus is not saying the second debt didn't matter. He's saying that the first debt was unpayable. The second debt was real, but it was repayable. And the servant who had been forgiven the impossible huge debt refused to forgive the much smaller debt. And here is the warning. When we refuse to forgive others, we are acting like the mercy we receive from God never reached our hearts. Matthew 6:12, Jesus is teaching his friends, his disciples, to pray. He teaches them and says this, "Forgive us our debts as we also have forgiven our debtors." Before I focus on someone else and what they owe me, I need to remember what God has forgiven me. My sin against God was not small. My debt, it wasn't manageable. Jesus did not forgive me because I'd almost paid it off or I was even a good person. Jesus forgave me because he paid it all. He paid it all with his life. That matters. That doesn't mean that someone just said, it's okay, no big deal. No, Jesus' act was ultimate forgiveness, and we cannot pretend that it was small. Forgiveness does not remove wisdom or boundaries or justice or even consequences, but forgiveness does say, God has forgiven me too much for me to make bitterness my home against you, who I've sinned also. Forgiven people do not keep people in debtor's prison. We give them freedom in forgiveness. So here's the question. Is there someone you keep making pay in your mind? Bring that debt to Jesus at his feet and ask him the power to leave it there. Ask him to help you forgive from mercy he's already given you. Let's go beyond Sunday.